There are so many details to Medicare that it can make for a lot of questions. This show is dedicated to answering those Medicare questions one by one and serving as your resource in the modern Medicare world. This is Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger.
Welcome to Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger of Carolina Medicare. I'm Mark Elliott, and I'm sure you're probably asking yourself, well, why does Kevin want to do a show entirely on Medicare? Well, it's a great question, but remember this. What you don't know, you don't know. And when it comes to Medicare, what you don't know might be costing you money. We are in the open enrollment period. Hey, we're almost to Halloween. Holy cow. Maybe we will make it to actually 2021 and still be alive. That would be fantastic. It's been a crazy year. There's no question about it. If you want to find out more about your Medicare options, open enrollment is right now, October 15th through December 7th. Same dates every year. Pretty important time period for you, Kevin, and I know it's a busy time for you, so thanks for taking some time out of your day to sit with us and help us bring the wealth of knowledge you have for us today. I'm excited about today's show.
No, I appreciate being here, every week, talking about all these topics about Medicare. So if I can help people and educate them and kind of guide them in the right direction, I feel like I'm doing my part in this world.
Carolina Medicare serving the Low Country, the Charleston area, Myrtle Beach, really the entire state of South Carolina. And Medicare is like a jigsaw puzzle. And I would imagine that you have a lot of people coming in with confusion on their faces. Kevin, what do I do? You probably haven't gotten much sleep lately, have you?
No. I don't think any of us in our office have gotten much sleep recently. It's because we're so passionate about doing the right things for our clients that we're taking every phone call we can. We're setting up every meeting we can with everyone we can sit down with or over the phone to go over everything they have going on or to find the right plan for them and so on. And so it's tiresome, but to be honest, at the end of the day, if I know it comes December 8th, the day after open enrollment comes on, and know that everything I did impacted a bunch of people down here in the Low Country to make sure they're in the right plans, saving them money, doing all the right things for them. It makes me feel better going into the holidays, that's for sure.
Yeah, when you think about it, this is the opportunity you have to go from Medicare Advantage to Medicare Supplements or vice versa. But it's also the opportunity for you because drug companies are always changing what drugs are this. And maybe, this one was a generic brand and now it's going to be the premium brand and your cost went from $5 a month to now $120 a month. You have to watch this. So this is the open enrollment time where you can make sure that your Part D is still on track. And you have questions, it's 843-868-6334. That's 843-868-MEDI. And again, Kevin is independent. He is not charging you a nickel for this. If he does something for you, the insurance companies will pay him. But he's looking out for your best interest, not the insurance company's best interest, but for your best interest. So I'm guessing that Medicare, because it is confusing and there are so many moving parts, that is why they decided to have an open enrollment October 15th to December 7th every year. The question is, are there a lot of common mistakes, Kevin, that people do make with Medicare that you tend to see more often than not?
Oh, yeah. I would say that's probably the number one reason why I decided to get into this business in the first place is because I first looked at Medicare. I thought I fully understood everything. And then I realized after talking to different clients and other stuff that they were completely clueless, and I was actually completely clueless, even though I felt I understood it. So, we see this all the time. A good example of this is people don't fully understand that when they're supposed to be taking their Part A and Part B. You'll see some take the Part A and not take the Part B, and then they find out 10 years later that they were supposed to have taken it 10 years ago, and now they're subject to these big penalties that they're going to be taking on for the rest of their life. So those are things that can really hurt you. And then, another thing is not fully understanding the initial enrollment period and how it works, right? So the initial enrollment period is the time when you become 65, right? And you now have, or we're about to be 65. So now you have 3 months before turning 65, the month you're 65, and 3 months after that to sign up. And that's your initial enrollment period. And you got to make sure you don't mess that up. If you're eligible, you need to make sure you're signing up for Part A and Part B. And then you got this special election period. This is the time that I see people mess up a lot. They just don't fully understand it. So you lose what they call credible insurance coverage. And I'm going to explain that in a second, what I mean by credible. But a credible insurance plan, you left your job and all of a sudden now you need to get onto Medicare. Well, you have 8 months to get that figured out. If you don't, you're going to be subject to penalties. You've got to be conscious of that. And so, what is considered credible? Well, if you're leaving your job or your spouse is leaving their job and now your insurance plan has fallen off, that's considered credible. COBRA insurance is not. The biggest thing I've seen is people that have COBRA insurance go, well, I took the COBRA insurance for a few months and now I want to do the Medicare. Well, guess what? You messed up. COBRA insurance does not cover it. VA benefits don't cover it. Retirement insurance coverage is not considered a credible thing. And what do I mean by retirement coverage? Maybe you have a retirement insurance plan through a government, and now all of a sudden you pass away, your spouse no longer has coverage. Guess what? She's going to be subject to this, and we've seen this over and over and over, and it breaks my heart every time to break the bad news that, you're going to be subject to 12 years of penalties. And so these are things that you got to be conscious about, and top of that, you got to be understanding that there's no such thing as long-term care insurance in Medicare. And Mark, I'll be honest, it's one of the things that blows my mind that everyone seems to think that, well, doesn't Medicare cover everything? Don't they cover my long-term care? In this case, no, they don't. So those are the kind of things you got to be conscious of. And probably the last one I would say, or two more, and I know I'm covering a lot because there's so many common mistakes, but if you're moving into the state right now, you've got to be able to be open to looking at new plans, because this is the time you've got to make that special election to move into a different plan without underwriting, which is nice. So if you move into the state and you have a supplement plan, guess what? Doesn't matter how your health is. If you do it during the special election period, you can switch into the new state program with the same, G coverage you might have and not have any underwriting on that. But you got to make sure you don't mess up in that. And the number one thing, and Mark, we talk about this all the time, is that annual notice of change that came out last month. You need to know what's going on in your plan. Are your doctors going to be a network next year? Are your prescriptions going to be on that list, or is it going to be a bigger cost to you? Those are the things that are going to cost you going into 2021, which is why we're so busy at this time of year looking over your current plan to make sure it's still the right fit for you.
So, Kevin, you said we have that 7-month window to sign up for Medicare. 3 months before our 65th birthday, the month of, 3 months after. If we're still working, though, and we still have insurance at our job, we only need to sign up for Part A, don't we? We don't sign up for Part B unless you – but you have a window after you leave your job, I guess, is what you're saying. But I don't have to sign up for Part B if I have great coverage. Let's say I'm going to work till 70. So I start Medicare Part A at 65. I don't have to start Part B yet, do I?
Correct. Yeah, if you've got credible insurance, and again, if you're not sure about this, you should be reaching out to us and we can tell you, hey, you've got the right coverage, you're good. Because you can call Medicare and you might get a lot of confusion things, but we can help you kind of guide along that. But yeah, you don't have to. And the reason why is because you're paying $148.50 every month going into 2021. So if you don't want to pay that because you already have insurance coverage, then by all means, wait. But as soon as you retire or leave that job, or your spouse leaves the job where the coverage is at, you've got to apply for Part B, and you've got to jump on that right away so you don't get penalized, because it is a hefty penalty. It's a 10% penalty every year you were eligible, and that's a lifetime penalty. So that's not something you want to live with if you make these mistakes. So it's important to make sure that you're doing the right things and signing up for it when you need to.
Yeah, so that's what I said at the start. What you don't know, right? So this is your opportunity to call Kevin and the team at Carolina Medicare. Find out, are you doing the right things? Do you need to change? We're in the open enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th. It's Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplements. You can go kind of one to the other. Part D, the prescription drugs, this is a great opportunity to make sure that the drugs you're taking now will still be the same price going forward, because those change. Kevin is here to help. 843-868-MEDI, M-E-D-I, MEDI. 843-868-6334 is the number. Now remember, you don't pay Kevin for his guidance. The insurance companies do. 843-868-6334. And, we touched on this pretty much every week because I think it's really important. And that is the what you provide people. And you can go to retirementfocusacademy.com. But your non-for-profit Retirement Focus Academy, and really how it helps folks from not making these mistakes going forward, right?
That's correct. And that's why we formed the Academy last year, is because we realized that people are completely confused. There's so many people going into retirement right now have no clue what they're supposed to do with their Medicare, no clue what they're supposed to do with their retirement savings, no clue what to do with all this other stuff around retirement. So we decided to form this non-for-profit organization. And so every week we're hosting workshops, we're hosting webinars, on all different types of topics, and we have other people in different industries that are coming in as an educator, and there is no selling whatsoever. It's forbidden in this non-for-profit organization that we formed, because we want to make sure people felt that they can come in, get the information they need so they can make educated decisions on what they're supposed to be doing in retirement so they don't mess up. Because, again, all the stuff I talked about with all those mistakes, I could probably go through this for 2 hours about mistakes I've seen in the Medicare world. Well, everything in retirement, there's probably a Bible worth size of mistakes you could be making. And if we can help eliminate that, that's why we created that academy.
It really should cover Social Security as well, because there's a lot of mistakes made in that one as well.
We do. Yeah, we do. Yeah, Social Security is one of the topics we do talk about. So that was one hot topics that people brought up, and they said, we want to know more about Social Security, the ins and outs. And so we did that. We got someone certified as a certified Social Security expert. Yes. Maybe there's a certification for it,
right,
to really cover those details, because it is an important piece of anything revolving around retirement is Social Security. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
So again, this is a great resource for you, and it's always free of charge to you. You can go to the website retirementfocusacademy.com, retirementfocusacademy.com, and get some of your questions answered. And, Kevin, you brought up long-term care not being part of Medicare. And I think you can kind of look at it as, if you will get better, if there's a great chance you're going to get better, you got sick, if you're going to get better, Medicare will cover it. If you're not going to get better and the countdown is on, Medicare's not playing in that part of this health world that we're in. So Medicare, I think a lot of people hit the age of 65 and go, okay, now I don't have to worry about Medicare expenses anymore at all. That is not the case, is it?
No, it's not. So when it comes to long-term care, this is the biggest no-no. We sell long-term care in our office just for this exact reason. We sit down with someone, and one of the questions we ask is, do you have any type of long-term care insurance? And they're always like, well, doesn't Medicare cover it? I go, no, let me explain how it works. So I'm going to break this down for you, just like I would in the office. So Medicare will cover nursing facilities for the first 20 days. That's 20 days. From 21 to 100 days, you pay a daily co-payment of $176. Now, what happens after day 100? So after 100 days, guess what? You're on the hook for all the cost. This is where a long-term care policy would take over. And it's important for people, if they can afford it, to add some type of long-term care insurance, because again, Medicare is not going to cover that. They cover you're going to get better. But if you're not going to be getting better after 100 days, yeah, they're kind of off the hook right now, and it's on you to cover that stuff. But that's some of the stuff that we can go over in our office and show you. Here's, some plans that could kind of, we talk about Medicare supplements. I call this a Medicare supplement plus plan, right? Because it's
absolutely
covering outside of what's not being covered on top of Medicare supplements and so on. So yeah, it's important that everyone kind of evaluates that to see, what do they have that's going to back them up, because the biggest thing that I've seen is people don't do this. They end up having a long-term care need. They go on for 2-3 years, as long as they could for their life. But in the meantime, they exhausted their retirement savings between them and their spouse. And then the spouse is left in this world with, a nickel left in her pocket to somehow survive, and now she's moving in with the grandkids and all this stuff, and it's a sad thing, and that's it's all because they made the wrong decisions day one, and if they would have had the proper guidance like we offer in our office, they might not have made that mistake.
So you think about this number from Fidelity, and Fidelity does a lot of research, and you think about this number: the average 65-year-old couple in good health will spend over their lifetime, and 6 years ago, this number was $220,000 out of pocket, not including long-term care. And you're like, well, that can't be right. I've got Medicare. Think about that. That number now from Fidelity says the average 65-year-old couple will spend almost $300,000 out of pocket for health care. That is why this is so important. Just because you have Medicare does not mean your health challenges, just paying for stuff, is taken care of. Kevin is here to walk you through this. A team at Carolina Medicare, they want to help, but they can't help unless you raise your hand. You raise your hand by picking up the phone. 843-868-MEDI. That is 843-868-6334. Again, there's no cost for this whatsoever. 843-868-6334. This can get really confusing, as I think it's been well documented every week on this program. Call the team at Carolina Medicare. Make the right decisions. Open enrollments right now, October 15th through December 7th. Same dates every year. This could be a really critical time for you that you might mess up and not know that, hey, your prescription drugs just changed policies. Now instead of $5 a month, you're paying $110. Well, wait a minute. That doesn't seem right. I've never changed anything. Yeah, but they did. They changed it on you. Call Kevin, 843-868-6334. We've got another part to get to. And think about this. Can I still fund, even though I'm getting close to Medicare, can I still fund an HSA, a health savings account? We're going to touch on that right after this. Stay with us. This is Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger of Carolina Medicare.
You're listening to Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger. Online at carolinamedicare.com.
It's the time of year to review Medicare plans, and the Medicare plan that was right for you last year might not be right for you this year. With so many moving parts, many things can change, and last year's good provider might not be as good in 2020. Coverages, co-pays, prescription formularies. You need somebody you can bring your questions to. Someone independent. Someone who puts your best interests ahead of their own. Let Kevin Geiger of Carolina Medicare be that person. Kevin can help you review your options for 2020. To set up a one-on-one visit, call the office at 843-868-MEDI. That's 843-868-6334. Or sign up for one of Kevin Geiger's upcoming webinars at carolinamedicare.com. That's carolinamedicare.com. Let's get you settled into the right Medicare plan for next year before December 7th rolls around. Kevin Geiger at Carolina Medicare. Call 843-868-MEDI or visit carolinamedicare.com.
You're listening to Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger. Online at carolinamedicare.com.
Welcome back to Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger of Carolina Medicare. I'm Mark Elliott. You mentioned in our first segment, and we touched on this in a previous show, about the annual notice of change letter that people that are with Medicare get, and they're like, that's kind of like the prospectus I get from my 401k. I don't look at it. Well, this annual notice of change letter is something that we probably should look at, Kevin?
Absolutely. So the annual notice of change, and you're going to hear me say this every week because I like to point this out at this time of year, but it's important people to understand this is the time when you're getting this annual notice that says, here's what's changing in your plan. Are your doctors going to be a network? Are your prescriptions going to be covered? Is the whole plan itself going to change? Is the cost going to go up dramatically? There's all this stuff you got to figure out. But people get so, I call it, I don't call it lazy. They just don't want to look at it. They don't want to put the time toward it, or they have brand loyalty and things like that. But there might be scenarios where your wife's plan might be changing so much drastically that a lot of the stuff that she needs right now is not going to be covered next year. So in some cases, it makes sense to look at a different plan, maybe in a different company for one spouse or the other that's going to be the best fit. And that's why it's important to really review that and understand that.
And it's not unusual for a married couple to have two different Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement plans, right? I mean, that's not atypical.
No, and actually in most cases that's usually the case. If they do it right, most of the time they're with two separate carriers because they have two separate needs. Not one person has the same needs as the other person, and that happens all the time. So don't be brand loyal. I always say that. Don't be, I got to be with this one company because they're great. They're not going to be the complete coverage for both of you, so you've got to look at that stuff, and that's where we come in. Again, our services are free to sit down with people to go through this, to find the right plan, let the insurance companies pay us to do our part. It doesn't cost you anything. The plan price is the exact same they were if you went directly. So why not take on a free service and let us do that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of websites you can go to learn more. CarolinaMedicare.com, obviously, is one. CarolinaMedicare.com. And then the Academy, RetirementFocusAcademy.com. Just education about these different areas that you really need to try to understand a little more. And you're just going, this is confusing. Well, it's free. This is all free. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. And of course, you can always call Kevin and the team at Carolina Medicare with questions. 843-868-MEDI. That's 843-868-6334. I'm Mark Elliott, Kevin Geiger with Carolina Medicare. Glad you're with us today for Medicare Made Simple. I'm not sure it's all simple, but that's the idea behind this, to help you have a little better understanding about Medicare. So I brought this up going into the break. So let's say, Kevin, just hypothetically, I'm retiring in the next 7 months, and I'm planning to sign up for Medicare because I've got that 7-month window, 3 months before my 65th birthday to sign up, the month of my 65th birthday, and 3 months after. So I have a 7-month window to sign up for Medicare. So I'm 7 months out, though, before I hit 65. Can I still fund an HSA account, a health savings account?
So if you are 7 months out, Medicare says you should stop funding that 6 months prior to starting Medicare. Why they came up with that, I don't know. That's just their rule. But basically, you have to stop funding it. But here's the good news. Let's say you have a ton of money still in that HSA account. Well, Medicare will allow you to use that money to cover all the excess charges you might have, with coinsurance, things like that, with the leftover funds that are inside that. So that's an important thing for people to understand. Some people think that either A, they can keep funding it, and that's wrong, or B, they feel like they have to just cash the whole thing out because it doesn't apply. But you can apply it while you're on Medicare with whatever the remaining balance is. So that's a good thing for people to understand. And that's a nice thing to have if you still have a big account there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I think we need to know. So that's why you call Kevin. 843-868-6334. If you have a health savings account, you're not really sure how this all plays out, call him. He'll explain it to you. 843-868-6334. In our first segment, you brought up lifetime penalties. So, hey, I should have signed up for Part B, but I was working, and then I went COBRA for a little bit before I decided to actually kick in Part B. I'd already signed up for Part A, but I did not sign up for Part B. Lifetime penalties. I don't like the sound of that. That 10% penalty you were talking about. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Right? Well, it's like the hockey analogy I always say. They have their penalties, and they go in the penalty box for 2 or 3 minutes. Well, imagine if you were out for the whole season and the rest of your entire life. Well, that's the same way that Part B penalties work. So if you did not take Part B when you were, quote-unquote, eligible, every 12 months you were eligible, you're going to be slapped with a 10% penalty against what the premium is. So let's just say you're 65, you're eligible, you never took it, age 75, you said, I probably should get my Part B done. Well, guess what? If that premium is $200 now, you're going to pay $400 for the rest of your life per month on that plan, plus whatever it goes up to every year. And that's something that you really got to understand. It's a big penalty, and it can really eat up a lot of your retirement savings because you waited and you never verified it, never talked to a professional to find out, should I be taking it or can I postpone it? Because maybe I have some type of credible insurance plan outside of that. And I got to make sure you have a credible insurance plan in order to bypass taking the Part B and bypass paying that large, lifetime penalty for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so the old credible insurance plan, according to Medicare, that's one that you better check with Kevin to make sure that what you have is actually credible according to Medicare. It's 843-868-6334. Quick question. That'd be an easy one. Hey, here's what I have, Kevin. Is that credible? 843-868-MEDI. That's 843-868-6334. All right, we've talked about Part A, that 7-month window to sign up, 3 months before, month of, 3 months after your 65th birthday. Part B, when you no longer have the health coverage from your job, you'd better be signed up for Part B or that penalty kicks in. Is there a time that we have to sign up for Medicare prescription plans? Is there a penalty with that?
Yes. So you have basically 63 days to sign up for a Medicare prescription plan. What I mean by 63 days, meaning 63 days from your initial enrollment period, right? That's when you turn 65 and you're taking it and all that wonderful stuff. And then there's a special election period. For example, we were talking about, maybe you left your job. Well, now you have 8 months to take Medicare. Well, now you have 63 days after that to make sure you get your prescription plan in place. So the nice thing is they give you a little grandfather time to go, whoops, I realize I need prescription coverage, so I better get that taken care of. But if you don't take it, here's what happens. You now get a 1% penalty per month that you were eligible to take that prescription plan. So, for example, let's just use an example. Let's say you waited 31 months to finally take this. Well, what they do is they take 31 months times 1% is 31%. And what they do is they take that against the national base premium each year. So for 2021, that's $33.06. So do the numbers on that. 31% of that is added on top of what the insurance for the prescription is going to be for the rest of your life. So again, another big costly mistake that we see, that if you would have realized that, you could have done it right from day one, so you don't get hit with that 10% penalty for not taking Part B and that 1% per month for taking that Part D plan. So make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's what we're here for. We keep talking about it. Our services are free, so utilize us to make sure that you are signing up for the plans when you need to, so you don't get penalized. And again, our services are free, so if we can help you, it's a win-win for us, and it's a win-win for you.
843-868-MEDI. That's 843-868-6334, because it still comes down to what you don't know, you don't know. And when it comes to Medicare, what you don't know might be costing you money. Kevin and the team are here to help at Carolina Medicare. Take advantage. 843-868-6334. It seems to me that the government is built in a way that they can just keep penalizing us until we pass away by putting all these little rules and regulations in there that I'm guessing that the majority of people don't even realize. So it seems to me what you're saying is we need to know what we're doing with Medicare day one, or it could be costing us money because we just didn't know better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you have a resource like we're offering to every one of our clients and making sure that we're evaluating everything you're currently doing and making sure you don't make those costly mistakes, it's going to be a good situation for you. So, why not utilize that? Because at the end of the day, the decisions you make today are going to affect you for the rest of your retirement life. So make sure you're doing it right. So when it comes to insurance costs, this is the number 2 to even 3 top expenses you're going to deal with in retirement. So if you make a costly mistake in that could become your number 1 expense. Don't make those mistakes. At the end of the day, make sure you're doing right and give us a call.
843-868-6334 is the number. Carolina Medicare and Kevin Geiger, 843-868-6334. We're in the annual election period right now, October 15th through December 7th, where you can change Part D prescription plans or drug plans, if you will, Medicare to Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage to Medicare supplements, vice versa, and all of that. This is what is called annual election period. We have open enrollment period that runs January 1 to March 31st. We'll get into that when we get to that time, closer to that time. But it seems to me that many people, Kevin, have a misunderstanding when it comes to changing plans, and even if they can change plans. And then you've talked about underwriting. Is there always underwriting to do so?
Well, yeah, so that's a great question. So when it comes to this time of year, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, there is absolutely no underwriting. So you could upgrade your plan per se that's going to cover your doctors that maybe fell off on your old plan, or cover more prescriptions, or maybe it's just more bells and whistles. You want that Silver Slipper Gold membership feature built into your plan that you didn't have before. Well, those are the kind of things that are there. If you have a supplement plan and you want to upgrade it, meaning you're going to a better supplement plan, you will be subject to underwriting. But if you're healthy now, might be a good time to evaluate doing it while you're still in good health. Now, when I say health, this is not like doing a life insurance where they're going to take every ounce of blood out of you to kind of do stuff. It's not that bad of an underwriting process. So if you're healthy enough, you could do that. Or in some cases, we've seen people going for a Medicare supplement plan because they took the K plan. Their health is not good, and it made sense to look at a Medicare Advantage plan to cut a lot of their overall costs down to have better coverage because they, again, took the wrong plan from day one and their health is not as good. So these are the times to really look at that stuff, and this is why we're so busy this time of year, because we are making a lot of changes and a lot of things are changing in the plans. So be up on what's going on and give us a call.
So again, Carolina Medicare here to help you. You're not paying Kevin for his guidance. The insurance companies do. Kevin is independent, meaning he's not answering to a board of directors or any insurance company. He's looking out for your best interest and searching for the best fit for your situation. Open enrollment right now. Right, the annual election period, October 15th through December 7th. So a busy time for him, so you need to get on the calendar as soon as you can. If you have questions about this, you're not really sure whether you should be making changes or not, 843-868-MEDI, 843-868-6334. And again, those two websites, carolinamedicare.com to learn more. And don't forget about the retirementfocusacademy.com, retirementfocusacademy.com. Again, the number, 843-868-6334. Kevin, enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good. Take care, y'all.
This has been Medicare Made Simple with Kevin Geiger. To talk with Kevin, call 843-868-MEDI. That's 843-868-6334. Kevin is also online with your resource on all things Medicare. Visit carolinamedicare.com.